r/ask Reddit by Redify. Cops. Have you written tickets to other cops? What happened during and after? A police officer came into the Home Depot I work at and tried to return a weed whacker because it didn't work. He was in uniform still. We explained that because he didn't have a receipt and the particular model he was trying to return was pretty old, that we don't even sell it anymore, and haven't for a while, that it couldn't be returned. He basically said that he was a cop and that we were committing a crime for selling him a faulty weed whacker. He then proceeded to walk over to the garden center, pick up a brand new weed whacker, and walk out the door with it. This is theft. Police were called, and we all watched a police officer get arrested. Crazy hit. I'm glad they didn't let him get away with it. Yeah. My manager was the one who made the call, and when she said that the man was an officer and described what he looked like, she said that it was almost as if they were expecting it. Like they were like, it's gotta be that asshole. Randy, we're on our way. Sir, please return the weed whacker. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was America. Wait, are we not entitled to free weed whackers in the Constitution? The Constitution was written when people were using scythes, and hoser writers did not anticipate the sheer power of modern gardening equipment. It's absurd that ownership of weed whackers, with their high capacity fuel canisters and tactical pistol grips, is not tightly regulated. My father is a cop. He once pulled over his superior for drunk driving. His boss expected special treatment. My dad arrested him. He ended up leaving the department because he was warned. If you don't have our backs, then don't expect us to have yours. Edit. To clear it up. It was my dad who left the department. A kid my sister went to high school with called 911 because his dad was drunk and hitting the mom. The police did not arrest the dad, but they took him away in the police car, calmed down the mother, and made sure she wasn't seriously injured. Then turned to the kid, 15/16 years old, and rips into him about how irresponsible he was to call 911, and that his dad would be fired from his job if he then went on about how they would lose the house and his parents would probably get divorced if his dad lost his job over this. Dad was a police sergeant in the next town over that was well known to the responding officers. Wow. I know they did end up getting a divorce anyway. Probably not because of the 911 call. More likely the whole drunken wife beating thing. Never followed up to know more, and this was now almost 20 years ago. No one hits their spouse only one time. I hit my ex-wife one time. We were pretty drunk and going at it. Pro tip, if your wife asks to be slapped during sex, then go light if it's the first time. A friend's father was the commander of the local state police post. He lived by a railroad track that had been out of use for several decades, yet there was still a stop sign at the crossing by his house. Everyone knew this sign was obsolete and no one stopped for it. He was pulled over by a local town police officer and issued a ticket for running the stop sign. Officer told my friend's father, "Just because you are a state patrolman doesn't give you the right to run this stop sign." A couple days later, friend's father was going to lunch in his state cruiser and the town officer speeds by him in his town cruiser. State trooper pulls him over and gives him a speeding ticket. Friend's father tells him, "Just because you are a town cop and driving a police car doesn't give you the right to speed and break the law when you are not responding to a call." I say obsolete signage should be grounds for ticket dismissal, which technicality only comes after the ticket issuance. Just enforcing the law, not judging it. Fair enough. Though an officer may use their discretion to determine the necessity of enforcement. Op says it's a disused rail line. There is probably a preponderance of evidence that the stop sign had no benefit. Wouldn't it be better to have it brought up in court so the sign can be ruled null? Instead of perpetual discretion by the cops, it would take zero effort for the local government to remove that sign. A citizen shouldn't have to get a ticket over a non-issue, waste their time in court on a workday, costing the civilian money, and possibly have to hire a lawyer just to get the local government to remove a clearly obsolete sign. The justice system is already completely stacked against the average civilian. It is absolutely ridiculous to suggest that someone should have to go to court to get their local government to do the simple act of maintaining the town they are responsible for. The fact that the government hadn't already updated or removed the sign is ridiculous in the first place. Not me, but my old criminal justice teacher, who used to be a cop, once told us a story about how he got pulled over by a cop from a different city, but still the same county. He tried telling him he was a cop and showed his badge, but the cop wasn't having it. He got so annoyed he got out of his car and walked up the cop writing the ticket and started mouthing off to him, which definitely didn't help. The next couple of months, my teacher city and the other cop's city got into a ticket war and would write each other tickets if they saw that they were a cop from one of the two cities. So basically they got into a police ticket war. So like Super Troopers then, you are freaking out, man. Littering and smoke in the reefer. The schnozberries taste like schnozberries. I always had a thing against drunk drivers when I was a policeman. Found out pretty quick that cops made up a high percentage of offenders, late 1970s, and I was pretty quickly ostracized after locking a few of them up. My cousin died because of a drunk driver. Thanks for trying at least. Thanks. I got hit by a drunk driver early in my career. Spent a long time in hospital and was pensioned off. Thanks for a lifetime of paying DD. He was back on the road before I got out of traction. Driver got off because she was related to the mayor. Apparently her freedom was more important than someone's life. So I understand your frustrations. That's so fucked up. Why do we allow for loopholes and exceptions in our justice system? Well, nepotistic and cronyist loopholes aren't legally supposed to exist. However, police and prosecutors can both exercise discretion, which is a vital part of a just and fair justice system. If cops were legally required to pull people over every time they see someone committing a minor offense, 3 miles per hour over the speed limit, time to get the maximum ticket, that would be rightfully called a form of minor tyranny. Additionally, it would unnecessarily tie up resources for both police and prosecutors if they had to bring everything all the way through the system to its conclusion. Instead of telling dumbass kids smoking cigarettes underage to stop smoking and that they'll be arrested if they are seen smoking again, you'd have to arrest that kid every time, even though it's ultimately going to only hurt both the community and the kid more by doing so. So on. Created throwaway to answer this question. I have absolutely written tickets to other cops, and for several reasons. 1. They know better. 2. It's hypocritical they're doing something they would write tickets for in their home jurisdiction. 3. It's disrespectful when they flash a badge or something. They know they are asking me to make an ethical compromise. Now, if they are doing something that I would 50 over 50 give a warning for to an average person, they're vastly more likely to get a warning. Think 8, 9 over. Cell phone. Same with dismissible offenses, for instance. No driver license in possession, something that would get dismissed by the court for anyone by law. But if it's something I would 100% write a ticket for, they are not going to get a warning instead. Some cops are very respectful and will only say something after the stop is done and over with. Some you can tell just because they act slightly out of the ordinary. For instance, they'll address you properly, trooper/deputy/officer, put their hands on the wheel, roll all the windows down, etc. Some try to mention it on the sly. I have my off-duty weapon with me as a favorite. Others will literally hang their badge out the window as they come to a stop. I mean, really? This also happens with military. They hand their military ID over with driver license. Anyway, that's it. You can tell some get a little salty when they realize they're getting a ticket, but none have argued, because there is absolutely nothing for them to stand on. Edit. Today I have learned an important thing about military handing over their ID. I will henceforth disregard it as an attempt to get out of a ticket. Thanks for everyone's comments on that. It was something I honestly had no idea about. Hand their military ID over with driver license. The first time I was ever stopped, Buddy was driving, was because I as a passenger wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Swear to Christ I thought that a passenger needing a seatbelt applied to minors, but that applies only to backseat passengers. Here in me, ignorance isn't an excuse or. Anyway, deputy gets done with his spiel, informs us of the reason for the stop, and asks if I have my license, and walks back to his cruiser. Buddy turns to me and asks if I have my military ID. Yeah. Why? Let me see it. I hand it to him. And he hangs it out the window. What are you doing? Letting him know we have something to show him. Question mark, question mark, question mark. Dude. Come on. I'm not looking to get out of a ticket. I did something wrong. I know. But I might be ticketed too for letting you. Deputy comes back, looks at the ID, and asks what company I'm with. Oh shit. I tell him, at the time it was an infantry company in the NG. Oh no shit. I'm with Charlie Company. Yeah no. I was gonna give you ticket. But I'll let you off with a warning. Pointers. I felt super slimy for using it as an get out of jail free card. My dad always wonders why I never go after discounts. Some people have that mentality, but it always never sat well with me. I don't like getting discounts or the Veterans Day meal. It took a few years, but I finally figured out why they make me uncomfortable. 1. I have a job. I make a comfortable living, and I'm compensated adequately. Anybody with a job is likely working as hard as I am, so I shouldn't get special treatment. Yep, I get deployed, and I've been shot at. But that was the deal. Too honestly, I feel like it's a social cop-out. If you asked people if the military is well supported in America, they would likely say yes. We've got yellow magnets on our cars. Most McDonald's will give you 10% off. Applebee's will microwave a free meal for you once a year. Hell yeah, the military has great support. These things are nice, and I do appreciate it. I really do. But they detract from the bigger issues. Vets are committing suicide in droves. The VA is overworked, underfunded, and varying degrees of disaster. Different benefits are constantly on the chopping block. We have real problems. But people see that a country star had lunch on base and assume we are good. 3. I'm jaded, but I fully believe most companies use these things as clever marketing, not to show any support. And it bothers me to be used in that way. Mongolian BBQ sends me a free meal email for my birthday every year. My birthday is on Veterans Day. It's my workaround, since I also don't pull the Veterans Day thing. But it's annoying to see the brand freaking new private waving that fucking card around. I agree with you. When I was a new private, I was broke as hell. I used every discount I could get. 90% off of a train ticket when traveling in uniform? Yes. Please. Most officers I knew would not use any military discounts. The discounts in Norway are aimed at broke-ass conscripted personnel, not for people earning adequate wages. Using something because you need to can't be faulted. Here in the US, when Veterans Day rolls around, it's amazing how many new soldiers you see having dinner with their parents waving that card around, expecting things because you joined the service. All volunteer kinda defeats the purpose. My father had to arrest a retired NYPD officer for a DNC. It was interesting to say the least. He was a Reich. Acted like my father was disrespecting the badge by arresting another officer. Did your dad say anything about disrespecting? Oh, I dunno. The law? Or the badge for acting as if he was above the law? Disrespect the law, and you disrespect me. Let me guess. Someone stole your sweet roll? Get away from me with that mace. Make sure to like and subscribe so we can watch together.